What is up, you awesome people? Gamer Eddie here, and today I'm going to be ranking all the Sonic games. Well, almost all the Sonic games. I will not be including Sonic Frontiers since I don't know enough about that game to even consider it, something of knowledgeability. So, honorable mention to that. I will also not be including the Japanese arcade games, nor mobile games, so sorry to the Sonic Dash fanboys out there. I won't include Sega Pico games as they barely count as games at all, and Mega Collections will only count if they change the game in a drastic way. And as well as mixed IP games, they're not going to be on this list either. Sonic R will count, but not Sega All-Star Transformed Racing, since that's a mixed IP game. But with all of that said and out of the way, let's get down to the list. Starting at number 69 is Sonic Jam on the Game.com. Oh, where do I begin with this? First of all, this game didn't even need to exist. Secondly, it's Sonic Jam without Sonic 1. Third of all, it chugs at a solid 10 frames per second. Fourth, the music is an atrocity. And 5, only one level per the 2 or 3 games they have. And I gotta move on. Number 68, Sonic Spinball Master System. Now, Sonic Spinball is a decent game. The Master System version, on the other hand, can go die in a hole because it's basically Sonic Spinball D-Make. The music ain't that good, and the overall momentum is ruined because of Master System degrees or whatever. Number 67, Sonic Freeriders. Sonic Freeriders is a game that could have done well if it wasn't on the Kinect. Now, for this game, I never fully played, but from what I heard, you gotta jump like you're in the Olympics for it to even read your jumps. And that's what kind of killed the whole spin-off series of Sonic Riders, so there's that. Number 66, Sonic Schoolhouse. Yes, I'm even including this one because Sonic Schoolhouse is a game that, well, existed for educational purposes and not much was there to it. It's the game that kind of, inspired Baldi's Basics. Not much to say about it since it's an educational game, but it's still a Sonic game, so there's that. Number 65, Sonic Blast. Now, this game I'm going to consider a disappointment. First of all, it sounds like it'd be a port of Sonic 3D Blast, but it's not. It's a Game Gear game. Ugh. Number 2, the Screen Crunch made it awful, and on the Master System version, Screen Crunch was still existed for a lot parts of the games. And if we had to say anything, the game, I'm going to admit, Sonic Blast looks ugly. Number 64, Sonic the Hedgehog Game Boy Advance. Sonic the Hedgehog on the Game Boy Advance was the most sorry excuse for a port. It's Sonic 1, but with bad screen crunch and lag. That's all I can really say since Sonic 1 does exist and stuff like that. Number 63, Tails Sky Patrol. There is Tails games on the Game Gear, and there's only 2 of them, and both of them are pretty meh. Well, not really for Tails Sky Patrol. I consider this a Silver Surfer game for Sonic, because if you touch the walls, you die. If you touch the ceiling, you die. Too far to the left, you die. Too far to the right, you die. And Tails Sky Patrol is filled with death traps. And the way you keep going is by eating mints, and you have a little ring boomerang. It's not fun. In all honesty, it's not fun. Number 62 is Sonic Pinball Party. Okay, I said I was not including mixed IP games, and yeah, this is the only exception. But since the story is based with Sonic characters, I had to include it. It's like regular pinball, so ain't much to say on it, except that it also has representation of Samba de Amigo and Knights, which are pretty good representations. Number 60, Sonic Labyrinth. Oh boy, anything doing with Labyrinth and Sonic's awful, and this one is the slowest Sonic game that I know of. Sonic Labyrinth basically has you moving slowly in an isometric plane to collect keys and finding the Master Emeralds. But other than that, what more can I say? Ugh, man, I'll be glad when we get to the better games. Number 59, Sonic Shuffle. Do you forget that this game exists? Me too, because Sonic Shuffle is a bland ripoff of Mario Party. Not to mention, only board that people play is Emerald Coast. It's slow-paced, the minigames are mediocre, and the CPUs can cheat. Even if you haven't set on easy difficulty, they'll know what cards you have. Number 58, Sonic Triple Trouble. This is one of the Game Gear games which I wish was on the Master System because it seems so good. But it's placed the lowest out of the 8-bit tetralogy, mainly because of the screen crunch. This is also the first game to introduce Fang the Sniper, if you think about it, so there's a props to that. Other than that, though, there's really not much to say on it. Number 57, Sonic Drift. Yep, I'm even including Sonic Drift in here, and I'm probably one of the few people that really know about it, and I wish to play it. They say the controls get used to, getting used to take time into and stuff, but it's decent, and all the levels are based from Sonic 1, which, if you ask me, that's decently creative. Imagine if Mario Kart did the same thing with their levels from Mario. Number 56, Sonic Drift 2. Now, Sonic Drift and Sonic Drift 2 can actually be interchanged based on preference. I like the second game better because there's more tracks and more racers like Knuckles, Metal Sonic, and Fang the Sniper. It's an oddball inclusion, but I like that guy, so. Number 55, Sonic Classic Collection. Yeah, this is on the DS, and yes, it's okay. It contains the first 3 original games plus Sonic and Knuckles, but the only thing I can say about it besides a little bit of screen crunch is the save states, which they're not even save states. It basically says what act you're on, but other than that, it's fine. Sonic... Number 54, Sonic and the Secret Rings. Sonic and the Secret Rings is one of those games that could have done well, but one major problem is that you had to use motion controls to control Sonic. I mean, there was a nunchuck for the system, so why couldn't we control him automatically? I don't know. And they had these rings to where you can upgrade your moveset and stuff, but why make your game less playable from the beginning? There's even a mini-game thing within Sonic and the Secret Rings, which you can use a GameCube controller, while the main game can't. You know what? Why even bother? Number 53, Sonic R. Everybody do this Supersonic Racing, get your feet back on the ground, because this game had so much potential too. The only problem is that the slippery controls kind of messed around with you. There was only 5 tracks, which made no sense, but the racer selection was decent. We got Sonic, Supersonic, Metal Sonic, Tails, oh my goodness, Amy, Knuckles, Meta Knuckles, Eggman, and of course the Eggbot. A good selection of characters, although mainly lazy choices. Sonic 52, Sonic 4, Episode 1. This is, in my opinion, a disgrace to the classic games. Because Sonic 4, first of all, it was a 2D Sonic game that used modern Sonic and had a homing attack, which, in my opinion, made no sense for a 2D Sonic game. And of course, there's only 4 levels in that game anyways, so there's that. So, if you have nothing else to play and you want to kill an hour, play Sonic 4 Episode 1 and you're good. Number 51, Sonic 4 Episode 2. Sonic 4 Episode 2 is more or less the same as the first game, except health has been added. There's more stages. You can use Metal Sonic to play harder stages. That's about it. That's literally about it. If you want to play this game, do it out of morbid curiosity and just set it down for the rest of the day. Number 50, Sonic Eraser. Do you know that this game exists? Cause I do. Sonic Eraser is a puzzle game with different modes, and it's 4 colored puzzle pieces that you gotta match up. So similar to Puyo Puyo. The thing I gotta complain about is that this was technically a Japanese exclusive, but there's not much to say bad about it. It's short. And short it is because after you beat the level, you beat the game. Number 49, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine Master System. Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine is a great game. Master System-wise, it's okay. I mean, it has worse music, worse graphics, and no pre-battle banter, but oddly enough, unlike the Genesis version, the Master System version had a puzzle mode. I guess you could say the producers were snooping as usual, I see. Ooh. Number 48, Sonic the Hedgehog Master System. The Master System games were a little mixed bag in my opinion, but it really doesn't matter too much because Sonic 1 was decent. The weird thing about it was that you found the Master Emeralds, or the Chaos Emeralds, in each world, usually within the first or second act. Now, the game wasn't too bad until there was an auto-scroller, which I don't even know what to say on that anymore. Number 47, Sonic 2 Master... Well, actually, number 47, I actually put Sonic Pinball Party again. Ugh, I'm sorry, guys. Number 46, Sonic 2 Master System. Yep, there was also a second game for the Master System, and Tails was actually introduced there before his 16-bit games, but other than that, not much to say on it except that there was 2 new mechanics, the minecart and the paraglider. The minecart sections were decent. The hang glider, though, sucked because of how you can easily lose your momentum. And that's really about all I can say for that one. Number 45, Tails Adventures. Now, Tails Adventures would have done so well. I mean, it was a Tails game that was also a Metroidvania. The main problem wasn't really the screen crunch, but it was the fact you couldn't really pull up a map because this was during the time before maps appeared on pause screens. If you had a little online map, this probably would have been higher on your list, but in my opinion, it's a missed opportunity severely. Number 44, Sonic Chaos. You know what's so chaotic about Sonic Chaos? The fact that after you beat a special stage, you move on to the next zone. I know it's not that surprising, but it's felt kind of weird to me, but at least getting the Master Emeralds in that game is easier, plus you can play as Tails, so there's that. Number 43, Sonic 06. Oh look, another YouTuber saying Sonic 06 is big doo-doo. I will give it a chance though, because, I mean, the cutscenes are great, and it looked like it had so much potential. That's the problem, looked so potential. Because first of all, the controls weren't always fluid. Secondly, the Silver and Shadow stories weren't that good. Thirdly, there was no autosave feature, meaning if you lost somewhere in a chapter, you had to restart that chapter. And also Elise kissing Sonic. Yeah, that existed. Number 42, Sonic Boom, Rise of Lyric. Straight from 06 right into Sonic Boom. Sonic Boom, Rise of Lyric was a Wii U game that, well, felt like a where am I going kind of game. Kind of looked like a licensed PlayStation 2 game as well. Everything was too convenient, too easy, it made no sense. But the cutscenes though were kind of funny, and I've heard so much good about the show. Number 41, Sonic Forces. 4 years in development, and Sonic Forces is one of the most disappointing Sonic games in my opinion. You could beat the game within 2 hours or less than that if you're lucky enough, but Sonic Forces also had the OC creator, which was good. Heck, there was even a mobile spin-off game of this, but who cares? And they made the physics worse than what it was in Generations, so there's that. Number 40, Sonic Rivals. Sonic Rivals is one of those games which I question its existence a little bit. It's basically a racer with, you and another character. And the main thing is either get to the finish first or score more points to win, because who cares about helping each other out? We're racing to fight Robotnik. Number 39, Sonic Rivals. Now, Sonic Rivals 2, number 39, Sonic Rivals 2. Sonic Rivals 2. It's basically Sonic Rivals with more characters. I can't really say much more on Sonic Rivals. Number 38, Team Sonic Racing. Now, unlike Sonic R, this game is playable. However, there is a slight problem. The cutscenes aren't really cutscenes, and there's a lot of characters that are missing from this game in my opinion. The controls are good, but that's about it. Number 37, Sonic Boom, Shattered Crystal. I've actually played this game when I was younger, and let me tell you how disappointed I was at 100% it. And that's basically how you gotta play this game. You basically have to 100% everything just to unlock the rest of the game. It just didn't make sense. I do like the Shattered Crystal pieces and the fact that you could get little trophies or whatever when you complete certain levels. Number 36, Sonic Boom, Fire and Ice. The last game in the Sonic Boom series, and they went out with a bang and a freeze. If you know what I mean, because Sonic and friends got fire and ice powers now, and everything controls way better than it did in the first game. But for some odd reason, just like with Shattered Crystal, it was a bit slower paced. And of course, slower pace isn't always the best thing. But I mean, it could have been worse. It could have been way worse. Number 35, Sonic Chronicles Dark Brotherhood. Now, I've heard a lot about this game, and I've heard how slow paced it is sometimes. But Sonic Chronicles is the only Sonic RPG out there that I know of. Dang, it's about time, but Sonic Chronicles is like a little story-based RPG, and not much can be said on it, except that the timing is usually weird, and the death sounds for the robots are just cartoony noises. Makes no sense. Number 34, Sonic Battle. Yep, Sonic Battle. Wait, Sonic Battle? Yeah, Sonic Battle. I don't really know too much about this game, except that it's a battle game. Why do I even have this on here? Oh yeah, Sonic Battle for the Game Boy Advance. I almost forgot because I don't know much about Sonic Battle. In all honesty, Sonic Battle is one of those games I forgot about. And Sonic Battle on the Game Boy Advance, it's a decent fighting game, but that's really about it. Number 33, Sonic Generations 3DS. Sonic Generations 3DS was an okay game, but that's all I can really say on it since there is a better Generations game out there. Number 32, Sonic Lost World. Sonic Lost World 3DS to be exact. It was a decent game. The introduction of the Deadly Six, my favorite members being Zaz and stuff. But I mean, it was a 3DS game, which wasn't too bad. It was basically the Mario Galaxy of Sonic games because you ran in a weird 3D-ish perspective doing a bunch of different challenges. Number 31, Sonic and the Black Knight. Now, Sonic becomes King Arthur, basically, and Sonic with a sword is an idea I would never conceive, but definitely like. Because Sonic starts off as a, kind of a jerk and then learns to be more and more humble with the sword. And I do like the introduction of Knight Knuckles, Knight Shadow, and Knight Blaze. All of those characters combined, and of course, Golden Super Sonic in the Knight suit. I think there's an actual term for him, King Arthur. But I mean, it's a decent game. Weird thing is that the motion controls is just swinging your sword, but I mean, it's a small drawback. Number 30, Sonic Pocket Adventure. I'm probably one of the only 5 people on planet Earth that like Sonic Pocket Adventure. The main problem was on the SNK's Neo Geo Pocket, and most people didn't even own that. It's a game that uses the levels of Sonic 2 while mixing elements and music from Sonic 3. And if you ask me, that's a recipe for a well-done 8-bit game. Number 29, Sonic Riders Zero Gravity. Sonic Riders Zero Gravity was a Wii game with the Wii Fit board. It was decent too, but I can't really say much on it since I never got to play this much. Number 28, Sonic Riders. The GameCube game, the original Sonic Riders, where things were perfect, and I love the introduction of Jet, Wave, and Storm. I mean, all 3 of them were technically bad guys in that game, but it was still cool to see those 3 appear at first, and then of course, riding on airboards was pretty cool too. Not much I can say on that. Number 27, Sonic Unleashed. This is the original Sonic Unleashed I'm talking about, and in all honesty, there was really good parts on it, but the worst part about the Sonic Unleashed game was the night stages. It took you more than 10 minutes just to figure out where to go and what to do. Number 26, Sonic Unleashed Wii. Sonic Unleashed on the Wii was way better. There was no hub world, but the levels were a bit more tolerable. And, of course, that's about it. Also, Sonic the Werehog, in case you were wondering. Number 25, Shadow the Hedgehog. Yes, Shadow had his own spin-off game too. And weird thing about it is the controls were a little bit slippery, and the guns were the best way of traversal and shooting or whatever, since you had to kill a lot of bots. Then, of course, there's the multiple endings, which may not seem like a bad idea, but you end up playing a lot of the stages over and over again. And Shadow is kind of cringe in this game if you think about it. Yeah, he's edgy, but he's also cringe. Maria. Anywho. Number 24, Sonic the Fighters. Now, this game was ported to America on the Gems Collection, and I love Sonic the Fighters in some ways. Despite the AI being a somewhat difficult AI, I do like the characters that were there, like Espio, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy, plus the introduction of Bean the Dynamite, Bark the Polar Bear, and Honey the Cat. And if you ask me, those are some of the greatest, most underrated characters, but that's besides the point. Sonic the Fighters is your average fighting game. Number 23, Sonic Advance. It's basically a Game Boy Advance series of Sonic, and the first one wasn't really the best. It was decent, but they had a lot of instant death pits. Number 22, Sonic Advance 2. Oh look, it's Sonic Advance again, with better stages, some more instant death pits, and Cream the Rabbit. It's a decent game overall, and, I mean, Super Sonic as a transformation is still cool, to be honest. Number 21, Sonic Advance 3. The best of the Sonic Advance trilogy, because this one technically had a hub world. You save chows, you do gold records and time trials and stuff. It was a fun game. The instant death pits were still a thing, sadly, but who cares? Number 20, Sonic Generations. Sonic Generations was a good game because it mixed old with new. Like, there was different music from different games. Even the Metal Sonic race was great to see. Number 19, Sonic Lost World. Sonic Lost World was another decent game. And preferably, I like the 3DS version a bit better, but Sonic Lost World originally on the Wii U, probably the best way to play it. Number 18, Sonic Colors Wii. This is the 3D version of the game on the Wii, and in my opinion, it's okay, but there is a better variation out there, that being number 17, Sonic Colors DS. The last of the Rush trilogy, if you think about it. And the Wisps in this game were pretty cool too. You got things like Rocket, Spike, Cube. It was a bunch of weird ones, but, you know. And the fact that you had to use a Wisp to actually spin dash made no sense. But Sonic Colors is a good game overall. Number 16, Sonic Jam. Sonic Jam, if we're talking about the Saturn version, is great. Before Origins and all the other collections, that was your main way of playing the original trilogy. Plus, there was a little hub area where you could do extra missions. Number 15, Sonic Spinball Genesis. Now, here's a hot take that some of y'all may not agree with. I think Sonic Spinball is a good game. Yeah, I really do. Despite it being very, very hard, I do like the game for it being a spinball game or a pinball game with Sonic. And even the special stages are pretty good too, having representation of the Adventures of Sonic / SatAM series. I mean, it's Sonic, so... But the pinball physics are decent, and you can move Sonic around freely too. Number 14, Knuckles Chaotix. Yeah, this game was only on the 32X, and yeah, it was kind of BS with its level select system, but the fact you had Knuckles, Mighty the Armadillo, and the whole Chaotix crew. I mean, what more could you ask for? And Charmy B makes all the levels irrelevant anyways. And the bosses were decent too, including Metal Sonic Kai, which, oh boy. I guess the only thing I could complain about Knuckles Chaotix other than the level select thing is the bad ending. That game has the most morbid bad ending ever. Number 13, Sonic 1. Ah yes, the original Sonic the Hedgehog. I can hear the Green Hills theme playing in my mind, and that's about it. It's a good game, and if you're going for the Chaos Emeralds, it's way better. But the pacing does slow down after Green Hill. But I mean, if you want to play this game, go ahead and play Green Hill Zone and then dip unless you're trying to get all the emeralds. Number 12, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. The game where Tails was first playable, and that was really about it. It's basically Sonic 1, but with a little bit better stuff to it, like Chemical Plant and other things. I mean, not much more can be said about it, except the Death Egg Robot had some of the best final boss music. Number 11, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine Genesis. Now, I love me some Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. This is basically one of the westernized versions of Puyo Puyo, a Japanese puzzle game. And I like how it was the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog Eggman that was used. And all this game really is going through 13 stages and matching beans of 4 to make combos. Not much can be said about this, and I'm just going to say it now, I prefer Puyo Puyo over Tetris. So Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine gets an A in my book. Number 10, Sonic 3D Blast, Genesis, and Director's Cut. Now, these two games are technically the same, except that the Director's Cut has a little bit more to it, like the prototype crab and a little extra area that you can go to replay levels. It's an isometric perspective game as well, which, it's decent. The special stages were kind of laughable since you couldn't really fall off or anything, so there's that. Number 9, Sonic 3D Blast, Saturn and PC. Or Sonic 3D Flicky's Island. Sonic 3D Blast for the Saturn and PC are better in my opinion because they have coloration differences for certain areas and different music. Plus the different special stages, which was somewhat based off of Sonic 2. And if you ask me, that's a better choice than the Genesis version. Number 8, Sonic Rush. Now, Sonic Rush was a decent game nonetheless, but Sonic Rush was kind of not Rush, but I can't really say anything bad about Sonic Rush since this introduced Blaze the Cat. The Rush mechanic was really cool too. The only problem was the instant death pits. Number 7, Sonic CD. Now, I love Sonic CD. I've played it a little bit, and I love all the different music, and I also like how this game had 2 different OSTs. I like the Japanese OST better, and this was also the game to introduce Amy the Hedgehog, which was, you know, Sonic's lover, and of course, this is also the game to introduce Metal Sonic, Robotnik's son, I mean creation. Either way you put it, it's a decent game, My only complaints is with certain levels like Wacky Workbench being an atrocity to get through, Stardust Speedway being a little too big, and Metallic Madness being an atrocity to get through as well. Number 6, Sonic Adventure 2. Sonic Adventure 2 is a decent game. No, it's a great game, actually. But Sonic Adventure 2 didn't make it to number 1 because of the different stories. Now, Sonic and Shadows levels are pretty darn good, but then you got the treasure hunting stages, which became more aggravating, and then you had the mech stage with Eggman and Tails, which it was mindless pressing the button and stuff. Number 5, Sonic Heroes. Now, Sonic Heroes was a decent game, and the fact you had 4 different difficulty levels, easy, medium, hard, and extreme, and the different teams that were used were really great too. You had your usual heroes, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. Then you had Team Rose, which was Amy, Cream, and Big. Then you had Team Dark, which was Omega, Shadow, and Rouge. Last but not least was the Chaotix crew, Vector, Charmy, and Espio. And I also like the final boss, Metal Overlord. So, number 4, Sonic Adventure. Now, out of the trilogy of Sonic Adventure games, Sonic Adventure 1 is my favorite because, you had a lot of different characters to play as, like Gamma and Big and Amy. It was great. You had a little Chow garden to where you could take care of some chows. And the levels themselves, although not the best in the world, they were decent, in my opinion. Number 3, Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Sonic 3 and Knuckles, I'm going to have to say this, was the best out of the old era of games. It was technically 2 games in 1 if you had the and Knuckles attachment. Heck, there was even another Sonic game out there called Sonic and Knuckles, where Tails was absent. Who cares? Because Sonic and Knuckles, and Sonic 3 as well, had some of the greatest boss music, some of the greatest levels, some of the greatest everything almost. And of course, this is also the game that introduced Knuckles, and in this game, he was a red meanie. Number 2, Sonic Origins. Sonic Origins is one of the best games to play a retro collection, and Sonic Origins does add a few different features too. This is also the game with Sonic 1, 2, 3, and let's not forget CD. And there's even a game out there called Sonic Origins Plus, which I believe has a few of the Game Gear games. And number 1, Sonic Mania. This is no surprise, one of the best Sonic games out there. Sonic Mania did a lot of things right. They brought back older levels, they remixed the game. This game was only $20 at launch, and it's big. And if you had Sonic Mania Plus, you also got Ray and Mighty as playable characters, and oh boy, it's glad to see them again, eh? Ain't really any complaints on that game at all. Now, thank y'all guys for joining me. I hope you like, subscribe, and comment down below, and I'll see y'all guys next time for another video. Other than that, this is Gamer Eddie. Peace.